Hello and welcome back to Automotive Tales. We are here at, well, you wouldn't know, Blenheim Palace because it's currently under a marquee, but we are here for Salon Prive. This is my second concourse of the year. This concourse has a dress code, so I am dressed to the nines, as is everybody else here. And we're going to do a little bit of a walk around and see how this compares to London Concourse. And in just over a week's time, we should be going back to Concours of Elegance at Hampton Court Palace, which is our normal concourse of the year, and see how all three of them compare.
This is a ground-up, 90% rebuild, 1967 Ford Mustang with a 5-litre V8 Coyote engine in it, and it bounces as well. 460 brake horsepower. This is the car made famous in Gone in 60 Seconds.
Okay, we have a slightly better view of the palace from here, although there is still quite a lot under tarpaulin. And hopefully you can hear me, because it has all of a sudden got very, very windy, and that's because the weather is probably going to change shortly. It was glorious sunny when we arrived here at Salon Prive. It's supposed to rain this afternoon. Luckily, unlike the London Concourse, there is a lot of undercover space at this event, so if it does rain, inevitably it will, there is places we can go and look at nice pretty cars that are undercover. But I'm going to start by showing you basically the entrance. There's this sort of mall of cars lined up here. It's called the Green Collection. Now you'll notice I'm dressed up, as I said, there is a dress code for this event, and I have dressed in green over cream, which is obviously the best combination for any car. And so let's go see if we can find some green over cream examples here. I mean, we're starting strong. Carrera GT, that's pretty good. And a drone. Ooh, didn't realise you'd have to fly drones. So we can't really walk past without doing a little video on this. Carrera GT. Unfortunately, there's a number plate, yes, not my Carrera GT, but it is somebody's. What a thing. 20 years old. I think these have aged incredibly well. I'm not sure I'd call it green. It's a very, very dark green. And it's got a nice sort of maroon coloured interior, but what a thing. Lovely wooden gear knob on these. Makes them really quite something. Next up we have a rough SCR. Nice and subtle in this colour, I think. But yeah, what a thing. I'm not sure I'm completely sold on the velour and sort of flowery patterned interior, which you obviously can't see because my camera won't zoom. But it sits very nicely on those wheels, doesn't it? What a thing. You know, the camera doesn't zoom very well. Well, there might be a reason for that, because I'm filming on a brand new iPhone 16, which I managed to leave on top of the car and drive away with this morning, so it fell off the roof of the car. It appears that the cameras have remained unscathed, but my pride certainly hasn't. So I'm not going to video every car, but there's a couple of special mention. So this is an original 1927 3-litre car. It's a Bentley teen car, apparently, for Le Mans. So yeah, what a thing. This has probably been around Circuit de la Sarthe. Very nice. And then you'll see a Speed 6 here. So the Speed 6 you can see here, this is a 2023. Yes, you did hear me right. I didn't say 1923, I said 2023. So this is a continuation spec Speed 6, but you know, still looks the part. So it looks like there are a few modernisations, but not many in the cabin here for these sort of continuation models. I assume there's a few bits they have to do for SVA. So I noticed around the back here it has got a little LED brake light. And it's probably got a bit more lighting than it would have originally had, but otherwise it's fairly faithful to the original. Yeah, what a thing. You see it in all of its glory. Right, there's a modern green Bentley there that I'm less interested in, but we'll go have a look down there because there's something very, very special down there. I mean, I say that everything in this collection here is really quite special, but there's one that really tickles my fancy. Down here, past a Koenigsegg and next to a Bugatti Veyron, which is not a sentence you get to say every day. So when was the last time you saw a Jaguar CX-75? The answer, I suspect, is probably in a Bond film. So this car, designed by Ian Callum, who is actually here. I've spotted him in one of the tents. He's here with one of his new prototype beach buggy things. But he designed this as a concept. It ended up getting used in a Bond film, but never actually went into production. But what a cool thing. I've seen them in burnt orange, but I've never seen one in this, like, minty alpine green. What a cool thing. In all my haste to go and look at the Jaguar prototype. Bloody content creators everywhere making lots of noise, just like me. So in my haste to go and look at the CX-75, which is just here, I may have walked past something even more special and more Jaguar. Well, there's a couple of things. So I'm going to have to walk this way because the wind is so hard at the moment. I'm at the risk of losing my hat, but I'm trying to keep the microphone, which is down here, somewhat out of the wind. But we have a low drag E-Type, which is a very pretty thing, isn't it? And then we've got a D-Type, yes, an original D-Type, which is pretty cool. And then, in reverse alphabetical order, we have a C-Type. Bloody wow. So on close inspection of the board, you might notice this is actually an Eagle, so technically I guess it's a resto mod, but I mean, who gives a monkeys? How cool is that? And look at the number plate. Mr. G, maybe? And this thing looks pretty special as well, but I have no idea what it is. If you know what that is, bleep bloop in the comments below, but nice. Green over gold though, interesting combo. Now you all know I'm not a one for modern supercars, but when it says Senna on it and it's got his face on it, that's pretty cool. So I'm guessing it's a McLaren Senna. So here's a car you won't have seen before. This is a Ferrari 410 Superfast. Well, give it its full name. It's a Super America Coupe Superfast, made by Pinin Farina. It's a prototype, so you definitely won't have seen one of these before. And no sooner have I got the camera back out and it is absolutely chucking it down again. And you'll see people are now starting to run, literally running to try and get out of the rain. Seems to be my luck with the concourse this year. It rained like Billio when we were in London and it's raining now. It was lovely this morning and now it's just miserable. Blech. So here's another car I guarantee you've never seen before. So it's called an Italia 2000. You think, oh, it's a very Italian looking body. It is designed by Michelotti and it was built by Vignali. But this isn't an obscure Ferrari model or even a Fiat or Maserati or Alfa Romeo. No, no, no. This is a Triumph. It's called Triumph 2000 Italia, based on the TR6. So if I come around the side, you'll start to see how it looks like a TR6 from the side, but it looks very different from the front. What a pretty thing that is. Really nice. I like obscurity like this. I mean, it's quite nice to see the odd Rolls Royce, but this sort of stuff doesn't really do it for me. This is cool. So the next highlight I've got for you is not something you won't have seen before, because it's a DB6. It's actually a DB6 Mark II from 1970, but it's one of only 5 that are painted in this Bahama yellow. How cool is that? I'd call it it's more of like an orangey colour than a yellow, but yeah, I mean, if you were buying and selling JCB, this would be a great colour car for you. Nothing quite says wealth like a Swiss number plate, right?
Always a great supporter of our event, and this year she pulled out all of the stops. Oh my God, driving herself. I never thought I would see this car in real life. The 1956 Ferrari 410 Super America, nicknamed Superfast. I think just looking at it deserves a round of applause, absolutely. Look at the fins. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm looking at the car and it looks like it's moving. It looks like it's going, excuse the pun, super fast just looking at it. Wow! The 410 Super America, the only one built with this Pinin Farina unique coachwork. It's like a futuristic car. Look at the fins coming out the back with a rounded tail, the flared-in headlamps. This is a Pinin Farina masterpiece. Imagine when it was unveiled at the 1956 Paris Salon, when it was the fastest touring car of its time. I mean, it looks fast. It's called Superfast, and it's the only one in the world. And it had a special engine, you see. They've been developing a racing Ferrari called the 410 Sports with a big, bad, fast engine, one of the most powerful racing Ferrari engines at the time. And what did? They put it into this GT car. Best of show in many concours where it's been, and now that I see it in real life, I can see why. The only Pinin Farina bodied Ferrari 410 Super America, nicknamed Superfast. I absolutely love it. That is just magnificent. Look at the taillights. You're in love, aren't you?
So we have just finished watching the full concourse, which takes up the majority of the day. Really, really interesting to see these incredible cars coming through. There are so many cars to choose from to do little bits of video on, but I thought I'd stop by this one just because I had a 944. I love the 924s, 944s for all the transaxle cars, but this one is a really special one. So this is the very first Carrera GT. So it's not the V10 manual last of the analog Carrera GTs, but it is a homologation 924 GT. It's basically 924 turbo homologated for doing racing, but yeah, really cool. 924 on the number plate. You don't see these at all. And then recently Johnny Smith found one on a barn find, and here's one at Concours as kind of the young timer of the classic world. And what's next to me here is really quite special. So at a glance you see the little Ferrari badge and you see the lights and you think, oh, it's a Ferrari 308 or even a 328, but oh no, you can see the badge here and you can see the works hanging out the bottom here like the dogs. This is a cool thing. This is a GTO, the first of the Ferrari supercars, the precursor to the F40 with the V8 twin turbo. What a thing.
Supercar pinups of the 1980s and of the 1990s. 1981, who doesn't love an 80s car? 924 Carrera GT. This is, yes, a homologation special. Porsche had to satisfy Group 4 racing regulations, and so the Carrera GT had to be homologated as a road car. You can see the wider wheel arches, the lighter panels that they could use for racing, and a tuned, turbocharged engine. I mean, this is true 80s tuning at its best. This car was delivered here to the UK, and for a collector, it's everything you would want. It is completely original, and this is what we look for in these cars. Just 3,000 miles from new. Oh, are we not happy about something? This is complete with all the books, the spare keys, everything that you want. Documented history, a Porsche homologation special, which has never ever been abused and used exactly as it would have come out of the factory, down to the correct tires, I see. Well done. I love your 924 Carrera GT. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Okay, so as you can probably tell, I am back home from Salon Prive, and I thought I'd round the video out with talking a little bit about, well, what I thought of the event. You may have noticed earlier in the year, we went to the London Concourse, and in just over a week's time, we will be going to Concours of Elegance, Hampton Court Palace. So I'm trying to compare the three events to work out which one I'm probably going to go to next year, because we've done Hampton Court Palace, Concours of Elegance a few times, so we thought we'd mix it up, see what the better of the events is, and then book our tickets for next year. So what did I think of Salon Prive? Well, what an incredible event. Amazing venue. Bit of a shame that Blenheim Palace was under a tent, but obviously it's undergoing a lot of restoration work. It is the 20th year of the event, so maybe I've seen it a little bit overblown from what it is normally, but maybe they will continue that trend in the following events. But it really was quite spectacular. They had a huge glass house set up, which is a temporary structure, incredible thing. For the event, with lots of good cars indoors and an incredible array of stuff outdoors. Not vastly dissimilar in terms of the quality and quantity of cars that you get at Hampton Court Palace. Definitely think there's more to see than there is at London Concourse, and there's more of a mix of stuff, more vintage things, which is a bit more kind of my cup of tea and less of the kind of modern stuff. There was quite a lot of modern supercars and hypercars at the London Concours, which doesn't really float my boat that much, but horses for courses. The important thing was, when the heavens opened, which it did, it rained a lot today, we actually had somewhere to go and be dry. There wasn't anywhere to get food that was dry for us paupers that weren't in the fancy marquees for those that had got the fancy tickets like we had when I went to London Concours. But either way, it was quite refreshing to be able to get out of the rain, something that we struggled with a little bit at Hampton Court Palace, although so far, why are the cats fighting? Sorry about that. Cat's having a little spat. Hampton Court Palace isn't great for getting away from the rain. However, we've been lucky for the last 4 years we've been to that event, 5 years we've been to that event, where we haven't really suffered a great deal of rain. So we haven't had a problem. But should it rain, as it seems to be doing this year quite a lot, despite being one of the driest years on record, every time we go to a car show, it rains. So it might become a problem with Hampton Court Palace because we haven't got the upgrade tickets for that either. But all in all, it's a lovely event. Some amazing cars on display and quite an array of things from all over the world. A Maharaja's car from India, an amazing race car that was Carroll Shelby's car at one point, all the way from Mexico, which is quite cool. But I think... Well, I'm going to summarise by telling you what I think the start of the show was. There was an amazing one-of-one prototype Ferrari there that was nicknamed the Superfast, which was it was a 410 Americana, I think, so a specialist Americana one. The reason it stole the show is it was just the most wild-looking thing with huge sort of Cadillac-style fenders right the way down, like I don't know what you call them, the wings on the fenders. Just awesome, just an awesome thing. And we met a few interesting people, talked to lots of people, and there was a few more kind of stalls to wander around. Plenty of vintage watches for sale, which is quite nice. I'm quite partial to a vintage watch, so lots of kind of nosy at. Nothing even remotely in my price range, because the cheapest one I think was about £3,500, which is terrifying, with some going way beyond that. A few Patek Philippe's and a couple of special edition Rolexes that were basically in the six figures. There was a nice titanium Daytona there, which was quite the thing. They're new, you can't get them. They're not worth that much brand new, but if you can get an allocation, people are flipping them for sort of 3 times the money. So almost as interesting as some of the cars. Anywho's, that was my slightly shambolic ramble around another concourse event. So Salon Prive definitely gets a thumbs up, but is it as good as Hampton Court Palace Concours of Elegance? Well, we will find out in just under a week's time. Right, that's all for this episode of Automotive Tales. I hope you enjoyed looking at some of the exotic cars and listening to me babble on nonsense. Time for me to go and stop the cat licking the bowl from my dinner, which is just off camera here. So thank you for watching this episode of Automotive Tales. This is Maris Piper, absolute chaos merchant, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now. Bye. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.
One of Mr. Bagley's favourite cars of the event, I think. One of Ferrari 275 GTB by Scaglietti. This car was right-hand drive, yes, delivered here by Maranello Concessionaires. Probably one of the most famous Ferrari dealers in history. 1965, he was the official UK importer at the time. The first owner specified the car with 6 carburetors, so he was obviously looking for a sportier drive. Only 2 owners over the past 60 years, and still finished today in a striking Rosso Cina, which is a beautiful red. Who says red doesn't suit Ferraris? I mean, the 275 was a landmark car. The design of it, with a very long bonnet and the cam tail, I think it's a timeless design. Often I get asked about who is going to be the buyer of our old cars. Does the next generation like the younger generation? Do they like the old cars? Well, I can tell you that 9 times out of 10, if you show a young man an old car, when he sees a 275, he says, I want that. It is something about that design. Still that 12-cylinder engine, 5-speed gearbox. This is a car that I would have no problem getting into and driving down to London or further tonight. It is a true GT car, and what looks it has. Another iconic Ferrari. Thank you very much for bringing the 275 over to us. Speaking of the next generation.